Enemy scaling. Oblivion is a perfect example of the enemy scaling mechanic. So when you level up in the game, the enemies you fight also become stronger alongside you. This means no matter what level you are or whatever region you travel to in the game, the baddies will always be at your level. The reasoning for this is to give the player a challenge during any moment in the game, but the unintended repercussions from this mechanic are way worse than the positives. If you don't level up with a strong build by picking the correct stats, enemies in the game will start to outpace you in performance. This means that eventually you won't be having so much of a fun time as originally intended. And no using the difficulty slider, please. This is not an option. That shit is cringe. Anyway, I believe they fixed this issue in the remaster. Now, when you level up, you will always get the maximum amount of stats to pick. So you can just focus on endurance each level, and please, stop luck maxing. This isn't New Vegas. Luck. In Fallout New Vegas, luck acts as a global modifier. This means that luck can affect things that are not the player. Things like casino winnings, random encounters, and even critical dialogue choices. But to all the degen casino gamblers in the game, you know the play is maxing your luck at 10, hitting the casinos and getting kicked out of each one while you stack those caps through the roof. Morality. If you have ever played Mass Effect 1, you will notice that in these games you can either be good or bad. The game offers you choices you can pick that alter your morality. This will have a ripple effect throughout the game world. NPC's perception of the player can change, either opening or closing certain quests or dialogue options. Plus, I never get tired of socking that annoying lady on the Citadel who's looking for an interview. Wait, what? I thought women wanted equality. Leveling up. In games like World of Warcraft, players gain XP to increase their character's level and stats in the game, giving them more power and allowing them to use stronger equipment and use better spells. This allows the player to engage in more content, and this just allows the loop to continue. Soft stat caps. In Dark Souls 1, when you level up at the bonfire, you get to pick which stats you wish to upgrade. Now, typically you pick stats that will best suit your current build, and also stats cannot be upgraded further than 99. But there's a mechanic called soft cap. This means that after a certain number, your stats will stop giving you the same benefit per point. After this soft cap has been reached, you will start to get what's called diminishing returns. This means that you will get less and less benefit from a stat that has been leveled up, past a specific soft cap. Plus, the only stat worth maxing in Dark Souls 1 is resistance. What? How am I supposed to tank those lightning bolts from the Nameless King? Oh wait, wrong game. First shot miss guarantee. In the original BioShock, the devs implemented what they called an invisible accuracy modifier. Fancy words for a simple concept. It makes the first bullet fired from an enemy always miss. Not only does this give the player a chance to orient themselves before returning fire, it also helps the player from feeling cheated by being instantly hit the moment combat starts. Like playing Call of Duty on Veteran, when you peek from cover and you get instantly tapped in the head by an aimbot. My girlfriend also has the first shot miss mechanic whenever she throws something at me. Who am I kidding? I can't get a girlfriend with such a low sub count on YouTube, so please subscribe and help me find my future ex-wife. Companion approval rating. Games like Dragon Age Origins use an invisible numerical rating for companion approval. Having a better approval rating can lead to damage bonuses and new dialogue or romance options. It's also the one mechanic ripped straight from real life. I mean, just think about it. If you want to sleep with a woman, you just agree with her philosophy, tell her what she wants to hear, give her a gift, and the next thing you know, she's going to ask you to sleep with her. And if her approval rating is high enough, You might even unlock her personal quest to marry her. Try it, I'm telling you. The guy who makes shitty YouTube videos on the internet told you to do this, so it must be true. Trust me. Coyote Time. This mechanic is used in tons of platforming games like Celeste. It allows the player to jump for a few frames after leaving the platform to prevent accidental falls, and it makes controlling the character feel more responsive. It's called Coyote Time because in Looney Tunes, when the coyote would chase the roadrunner off a cliff and then for a few seconds the coyote would stay floating in the air before it comes crashing down. Well, that's Coyote Time. Invisible Fatigue. In the 2003 classic RPG Morrowind, all hail our Lord and Savior Todd Howard, when your fatigue bar has run out, this has some invisible repercussions, hence the name. Not only can't you run anymore, or in Morrowind's case, brisk power walk, you also have less chance to hit enemies with weapons and even spells. And guess what? It even affects your speechcraft. I mean, you try speech checking Dagoth while you're so out of breath, it's like you just carried the boats with David Goggins. Of course you're gonna fail that shit. Dynamic NPC Behavior. This is a classic. In Pac-Man, the ghosts each have their own distinct non-random AI pattern. For example, Blinky chases Pac-Man directly, while Pinky attempts to cut you off. You kind of see this in the Left 4 Dead zombies as well. When you're running, the infected try to cut you off instead of simply chasing you in a straight line like it's Killing Floor. It's such a small mechanic, but it can really bring your AI to life in video games. NPC Memory. In Skyrim, the NPCs will slowly forget your crimes, and if they were small enough like petty theft or trespassing, you know when you've committed a crime in a city, and sometimes when you walk past a guard they will say something like, "I know what you did." Even those will decay over time. Even the witnesses who have seen you commit a crime will also forget. It also happens in Fallout 4 at a faction level. For example, the Institute have scripted forgiveness thresholds, meaning that they can go from hostile back to neutral if you progress certain quests or just leave for a long enough period of time. Anyway, I don't want to use the F word anymore because I recently played 140 hours of F word 76, and if I see another wasteland, even in my mind's eye, I'm gonna lose it. The illusion of choice. 3 words. Mass Effect 3. This is a perfect example of this mechanic because during the trilogy, players make hundreds of dialogue and morality choices, and they were supposed to shape the future of Commander Shepard and his companions, and even the galaxy itself. BioWare at the time marketed this series heavily around "your choices matter", so players like you and me spent years believing we were weaving our own sci-fi epic, and at the time it wasn't unreasonable to believe that BioWare was able to accomplish something like this. We've seen their masterful track record at that time, but Mass Effect 3, after that, everything at BioWare went downhill. Anyway, at the end of Mass Effect 3, at the end of 3 long games, we were given 3 final choices: destroy the Reapers, control the Reapers, or synthesize organic and synthetic life. And the freaking worst part was, what you pick actually doesn't matter. It's all identical. The only thing that changes is you get a colored explosion, either red, blue, or green, plays out in like a little short cinematic. Man, my keyboard has RGB, but never in my life has my video game. What the hell, BioWare? I'm still salty over it, and yes, I know they released a DLC fix, the ending, but I don't care anymore. Anyway, this is a prime example of the illusion of choice. AI Director. This is a mechanic that makes the moment-to-moment gameplay more dynamic, cinematic, and fun. The best example of this is used in the game Left 4 Dead. There are other games that use this, like the Tide games, but let's stick to Gabe's CS Source mod. As I mentioned at the start, it's more of a way to keep the game fun and exciting. It's essentially about emotional pacing. It's not trying to alter the win or lose probability of the group. That actually comes later in one of the darkest tiers of this iceberg. I'm looking at you, EA. Please don't sue me. Anyway, think of the AI director as a virtual dungeon master. It wants you to constantly feel on edge but never overwhelmed. This mechanic will do things like spawn a horde if you've been safe for far too long, or if your team's been struggling, it will spawn in more medkits. It's a mechanic designed for tension control and replayability. That's why Left 4 Dead or Vermintide or Darktide feel so fun to play, even when you play on the same maps over and over. I think it's a great mechanic, better than the one who worked on my car's clutch last week. That shit broke again. Now I'm stuck at home here writing the script. I need a new mechanic. Save file Permadeath Bluff. I suppose you could call this a mechanic, even if you technically don't want to. I still think it's cool and obscure, so I want to add this one here. Okay, so the save file Permadeath Bluff actually comes from Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. At the start of the game, you get a message along the lines of the dark rot will grow each time you fail, and if the rot reaches Senua's head, her quest is over. And all of your progress will be lost. So in-game, as you died more and more, a visual rot would spread up Senua's arm, so that the implication is that if it reaches your head, it would trigger permadeath and delete your save file. Sounds like a typical permadeath mechanic, but here's the twist. Once it reaches your head, it would not actually delete your save file. The devs were just trolling. They actually explained that the message was intentionally ambiguous because they wanted to tie the mechanic to the theme of mental illness and dread, not necessarily create an actual full permadeath mode, and I think that's pretty cool. They used the mechanic as a psychological design rather than a hardcore game mechanic. Cool, man. Dope. MissingNo Glitch. Okay, this one is definitely not a mechanic, it's a glitch. Okay, so this is a glitch that was found in Pokemon Red and Blue. It appears when the game's internal data tries to access a Pokemon that doesn't exist in the game's index list. The result is a bizarre scrambled creature made of corrupted sprites and data fragments. Internally though, every Pokemon has an index number. The missing number reference. The missing number refers to the empty or undefined slots between legitimate Pokemon entries. So in Pokemon Red and Blue, there are 190 possible index numbers, but only 151 are assigned to real Pokemon. The unassigned ones, like a missing number, read random data from the cartridge and they generate chaos. Enemy threat budget. This is also sometimes called pacing controllers. Some RPGs dynamically adjust encounter difficulty or enemy behavior based on how far the player has progressed or how often they've died. It's not like the AI director, it's more subtle and hidden. It's kind of difficult for me to find examples of this, but I did find something in this game's radar interview with the Dragon's Dogma 2 devs. They mentioned that they consider many factors to keep the player on equal footing when fighting giant enemies. Well, that's what I got. Anyway, the next one, psychological profiling. This mechanic is patented, and I'm going to go over that in a second, but basically this is a dynamic difficulty adjustment mechanic that's intentionally hard to detect. Patents explicitly describe adjusting difficulty and other variables using processes that are not detectable or more difficult to detect by users. The language literally contemplates stealthy manipulation of the player's experience to control outcomes and engagement. Okay, so here's the patent, and as you can see, it's owned by EA. It shows the process of how they would detect the difficulty and change it on the fly without you, the player, even knowing. Now if they could please integrate this into Apex Legends, because I am sick of getting 2-tapped by some predator while I'm still bronze. What's he doing in my lobby? Also, bring back Titanfall. What are you doing, EA? Come on, man. Take Vince Zampella off of Battlefield 6 and put him on Titanfall 3, baby. Let's go. Occult Profiling. The final entry on my tier list, and I made it sound way more creepy than it actually is. Occult simply means hidden, and this refers to the patented mechanic of identifying player frustration and it reacts with hidden assistance. So this one would actually check for things like how long you've been stuck in a certain area, how your failure rate is, and your session history. It would take all of this data. It would also infer your engagement state using that data. Like, are you bored? Are you annoyed? Is this? And this patent you can see on screen is owned by Sony. I'm going to confidently say that they use this one. If you have ever played a Sony game, one of those story games, and the character will eventually tell you which way to go when you get stuck for a long time, yeah, we've all been there. We all know this. What's that one game? Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, that girl, she doesn't ever shut up if you get stuck. She just tells you where to go all the time. Anyway, that is this mechanic. So anyway, look, I hope you enjoyed my little iceberg, and I want to just say shout out to everyone's footage I used from YouTube. I appreciate it. And you know what? Thanks for watching. I don't know if anybody's going to even see this video. If you did, fuck, just let me know in the comments. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Take care.